Hey, hey, hey. What is up? What's happening? All right. So, gonna give away some stuff here, and then we're gonna jump into talking about how to become a top earner, how to specifically become a six-figure earner in network marketing. Gonna be super fun. So drop me a comment, let me know that you're here, and give away some copies of our leadership book. So if you jump on here and you want to possibly win one of our leadership books, just click the share button, drop me a comment that you shared, and I'm going to pick some peeps before we get started. We'll send you a book. We'll send you a book. Feel free to hit the like button. And if you share, drop me a comment that you shared, and I will pick a few peeps to win a book. What's up, Sarah, Shelby, Bonnie, Emily, Robin, Debbie? Morning, morning, morning. Happy Monday. South Africa in the house. Okay. All right. Shelby Campbell. Shelby Campbell gets one of our leadership books. Let's see. Present. Present. I like that, Carrie. Morning, morning, morning. Happy Monday. Here you. Hit that like button if you like. And then if you want to possibly win a copy of our leadership book, just hit the share button. Drop me a comment that you shared. All right. So Laura, the 8:30 p.m. one will be, I always mix it up. So you never know what stories I'm going to bring up or what lessons I'm going to bring up. And I'll give you a great example of that here in a second. Let me pick a couple more winners here, then I'll come back to your question. Robin Acosta III gets a leadership book. Carrie Ullman gets a leadership book. Marlena Edwards gets a leadership book. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And Mandy Burkett gets a leadership book. Very nice. So I might give away a few more, but that's the initial round. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning. So let's find that comment again. All right. So Laura asks, I'm doing another session. Is that tonight? I don't even know. It is tonight. So I'm doing another session that's a similar title to this morning's on how to be a six-figure earner, how to be a top earner. And it's at the same session. Well, it will not be a recording. And I always am coming from a different, just depending on where the day carries me. And I'll tell you why that may be important to you. Okay. So I have been studying the heck out of a gentleman named Neville Goddard. And Neville Goddard, I believe he passed away in 81, but in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, he was an incredible teacher of mindset, of manifestation, just way ahead of his time. So every morning I listen to a different audio of his. And, sometimes there's definitely repetition, but man, I find these little nuances, a little statement that he said. I'm going to teach it tomorrow, what this little statement was. But I heard a statement from him, and I've listened to something of his every morning for months, 3-4 months maybe. And on either Friday or Saturday morning, I think it was Friday morning, I heard a statement from him I hadn't caught before. Maybe he'd said it and I just didn't catch it, but it was like, whoa. And I'm going to teach that tomorrow morning in Rank Makers. And so if you're looking, if you resonate with my stuff, you never know where you're going to get a different line, a different story, etc. So that's my input. So tonight will be some similar content. Yeah, I thought Neville Goddard definitely did not pass away in the 60s, because I've heard. Let me see. Am I that far off? Because I thought I just heard a live from him Oh, he died in 72. Yeah. Wow, that's really wild because I've listened to a recording of him from 1972. So yeah, he died in 72. I thought it was 81 for some reason. That's really weird because I just listened to a recording of him in 72, the year he died. Interesting. So, all right. So what does it take to become a top earner? So first let's peel it back a little bit because I know that we're going to talk about becoming a six-figure earner. And so I want to share with you some things, some thoughts. One of the if you're an entrepreneur, if you're looking to make extra money, you have to first, so obviously you have the job world, right? And to become a six-figure earner outside of sales in a job and a salary, not the easiest task, not the easiest task. I worked my way up in the corporate world and I think I got to like $78,000, $80,000 a year, right? So I never quite got there as a salary. And outside of sales, now you can go into, there's a lot of different sales kind of jobs that you can get and make six figures, right? And it's, high intensity. You better have good skills. You got to have lead flow. You got to have a system, right? So in the job world, not easy, especially without a very specific knowledge to make six figures. Now it's not impossible. I mean, one crazy example is my wife's dad. He was working as the head of progressive IT in the 80s and was making 800,000 a year as a salary. Now that's right. That's a little intense, especially back then. That's like a bajillion dollars in today dollars. And so, if you want to get to six figures, look at, is it possible in the job that you're in with what you're doing? If you're in a sales organization, it's probably possible. Now, if I go back, I've been in different, sales kind of roles and jobs, and I've certainly been in sales roles where six figures was very extremely unlikely, but you have to know that. Now, let's transition over to business because we're going to talk more about working from home. So when I was 19, 20 years old, I would buy stuff that was on clearance at Walmart. I would buy stuff that was on clearance at Books A Million. Are those even around anymore? I don't think they are. I would buy stuff at yard sales, like Gary Vee teaches, nowadays, and I would sell them. First, I started on Yahoo auctions, and then I eventually, got on eBay. And so I'm buying, low, hopefully selling for a little bit more. And, one of my favorite examples was there was a period of time where Star Wars wasn't very popular. And so they were selling this little box and it contained two little Lego Star Wars figures. And I found this Walmart, and I go in one day and they marked this box 90 cents. So it was 90 cents and you got two of them. And I'm like, man, I feel like those would sell better online. And so I looked on eBay and they were selling for $7 or $8 a piece. And so they had like maybe 20, 30 boxes. So I bought like 20, 30 boxes. Now it was 90 cents. I was selling them for $7 to $8 each. Okay. So 90 cents, $14, $15, right? Not bad. So I wiped out that Walmart. I started calling all the other Walmarts. Hey, do you guys have these? And so and it's hard to get an answer when you call a Walmart. So I ended up just driving to like the 4 or 5 Walmarts in my area. And I amassed, maybe 100 of these things, maybe more, and just slung them, put them on eBay, pow, 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 pow. And so I did that with, Star Wars stuff. I did that with, what was another big one? I remember when, for some reason, when Monsters, Inc. came out on DVD, I think it was a pawn shop or something. I found them and they had like They must have fallen off the truck or something. And so they had them really cheap. And so I was buying them for like $3, selling them for like $12 online, brand new, wrapped and everything. And so like I had a lot of instances like that. To make six figures at that, kind of tough, kind of tough. That's a lot of shipping of stuff. It's a lot of handling. It's a lot of time because you're driving to these places, you're looking around. Now that doesn't mean you can't make extra money. So one of the big problems with an entrepreneur trying to make six figures is scale, right? Are you doing things in a manner that will scale? And that is one of the absolute beauties of network marketing is scaling is built in. It's already built in. Now, people screw it up all the time. And here's what they do to screw it up. So they understand when someone starts, what do you got to do? All right. You got to bring in customers. You got to recruit reps. Now that's what you have to do. But what will people do instead? They will try to get approval, acceptance, and agreement from their friends and family, which they rarely will get unless you're in a very, you have to be in a very specific kind of circle for you to get acceptance, approval, and agreement on network marketing. Because think about it. If you're low income, if you're surrounded by people, and this is no judgment, I'm just telling you, right? If you're low income and most people around you are also low income, one of the reasons they're low income is yes, because of their circumstances that they think, just happen outside of them. But one of the things with being low income is you literally have to be closed-minded. You've turned down opportunities. You've shied away from certain things. And so there's a bit or a lot of closed-mindedness. So if you're low income and you're surrounded by people that are low income, you have almost a 0% chance, not of succeeding, has nothing to do with it actually, but of getting acceptance, approval, and agreement from your peers. Almost zero. Now let's go the other route. Let's say that your family are all millionaires. Let's say that they're wealthy, right? You're in the 1%. Well, if you come home and you're in a very wealthy family and you say, hey, I'm in network marketing, they're more open-minded, no question, but they'll probably shoot it down. So that the chances of you joining network marketing, which is built for scale, it's built for you to have the ability to bring 10,000 people in, no problem. And you don't got to deal with shipping. You don't got to deal with comp plan. You don't got to deal with cutting checks. You don't got to deal with, making the cookies in the basement. You don't got to deal with any of that stuff. It's already done for you. Right. So, but the chances, if you're low income, there's almost a 0% chance you're going to get your friends and family saying, yeah, good idea, man. You got this. But also, if you're really wealthy, there's a low percentage chance, because you'll probably get different advice there. They probably say, hey, why don't you start a business where you own the real estate, where you own the assets, where why don't you come up with an invention and we'll bankroll you, right? So it's interesting. You kind of have to be in a very specific, I don't know if it's income. I don't know exactly what that looks like, because if you're too low, you're definitely not going to get acceptance, approval, agreement. If you're too high, you're going to get alternative suggestions. You're going to say, hey, why don't you start a podcast? And why don't you start your own clothing line? Or why don't you start your own, I'll even bankroll you, right? So you're kind of tough, right? And so that is mistake number one. Mistake number one is seeking acceptance, approval, and agreement. You got to eradicate that. You got to eradicate it. You cannot pursue, if you want to go and become a top earner in network marketing specifically, you need to eradicate your desire to get acceptance, approval, and agreement. You just got to get rid of it. Now, low income or high income, neither of those are dictators of if you'll go on to succeed, but they do greatly influence if you're seeking acceptance, approval, and agreement. So that's number one. Number two, so that's first mistake. That knocks a lot of people out of the game. A lot of people that would have changed their lives get knocked out of the game because they go to their best friend and their best friend says, that's a pyramid, that's a scam. You got to pay to do it. Yeah, like every other business on planet Earth. Like it's still shocking to me how many comments a day that I see from people saying, if you have to pay for it, it's a scam. You ever been to a restaurant? You ever, like go be a podcaster. You're going to buy stuff. You're going to buy a microphone. You're going to buy maybe headphones. You're going to buy a background. You're going to, you might even invest in some swag. So you're wearing stuff that you sell, right? Which we do sell this sweater. And so, go be a realtor. You're going to invest in business cards. You're going to invest in a desk fee. You're going to pay a percentage of what you sell. You're going to have to sit through a very, at least in Florida, I know it's a tough test. I know because my wife is studying for it. And she's like, man, this thing's tough. Right? So you're going to have to pay for that test. You're going to have to pay for the study material. You're going to have to pay for that license. You're going to have continuing education, right? So any kind of, and that, you could argue, is that a business or is that, a sales job? You could argue that. Now, some people will say, oh, well, you don't own your network marketing position. Well, that's funny. I sold mine. All right. How do you explain that? How do you explain that? I sold mine. And I know in certain real estate, brokerage and stuff, if you build a book of business, I believe you're able to sell that too, just like insurance, right? So insurance has that too, where you can build a book of business and sell that book of business. And book of business being customers, et cetera, and so forth. Okay. And so don't listen to people that tell you if you got to pay for it, it's a scam. That makes no sense. It really doesn't, because you're talking about, if you're not paying for it, then it is almost always going to be a job. And that's just, what the deal is. And so what's the next mistake? The next mistake. So let's say someone gets past their need for acceptance, approval, and agreement, right? They get past the, random trollers on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook Reels that tell you, oh, if you got to pay for it, it's a scam, pyramid, no one makes money, right? So let's say you get past all of that and you hold on to that concept of, I got to get customers, I got to get reps. So you start doing that, right? So you start doing that. Well, what's the next mistake? The next mistake is for you to stop doing that. The next mistake is you get to 5, 10, 20 people and you're like, okay, right? Cracking your knuckles, right? Now I get to manage them. Great. I got me a little team. All right, boys and girls, go do this. Here's what you should be doing. You got this. I believe in you. Make it happen, right? And so now they now they go into management mode. The problem is, it's because you're not the employer, right? So as an employer, so let's say that you own a pool company. Let's say you own a pool company and you want, you're really good at designing pools and you're really good at putting pools in because you got a great crew, but you're like, man, I wish I had more salespeople out there shucking pools for me. I wish I had people out there going door to door and, finding, properties without pools and saying, hey, don't you want a pool? Right. So as an employer, you can hire some people and say, hey, I'll give you whatever, 5%, 10%, $2,000. I don't know. I don't know what pool salespeople make, but you could go and you can build you a sales team. And without you selling, because you're the employer, you can say, hey, go sell me some pools. Sell one with slides and sell one with, the fountains, the lights and the hot tubs, right? And if you sell this, then we'll give you this, right? So if you're the employer, that works, no problem. Or even if you're the sales manager hired by the employer, the sales manager doesn't necessarily have to go into the field and shuck pools, right? The sales manager can say, hey, you need to go make some sales. And if you don't make any sales, then you're fired. And by the way, did that salesperson, for the pool company, did they pay anything to become a salesperson? Probably not. They're probably wearing a t-shirt, probably shorts, right? Actually, if they're in sales, they probably aren't wearing that. If they're cleaning, they're probably wearing that. But probably didn't spend any money, right? It's a job. It's a sales job. So the manager or the employer, they don't have to go into the field and sell. They have to, give advice to the people trying to sell. That's not network marketing. See, most people are going to listen to you at the energy that you're at. So if you're a manager and you're not actively doing the things you wish they were doing, it's a different dynamic than if you're the employer, which you could tell them to do stuff that you aren't doing, or you're the manager, you could tell them to do stuff you're not doing. So the problem is you getting out of recruiting mode, you getting out of acquisition of new customers. That's something you should never stop. You should never stop that, because I never know, right? Is the one Wednesday that I stop recruiting, would that have been the day that I brought in the heaviest hitter in network marketing history? Who knows? Who knows? Right? And Kathy, you bring up a good point. You say managing a volunteer workforce doesn't work well. Yeah, if there's a bunch of volunteers working for this charity, and there's one volunteer that's just kind of telling the other volunteers what to do, but they're not rolling up their sleeves, that's usually not going to be that great, unless there's some kind of superior credibility or something, like they're the whatever, right? So that holds true, I believe. And so you have to be doing the things you wish that they were doing, not just for the energy of getting more to do the things that you're doing and what you want them to do, but also for the one, hopefully you believe in what you're doing. Why would you stop? If your product or service helps people and helps families, and the opportunity helps people, helps families, and at least gives them a chance to make some extra money, then why would you ever stop? And number two, you never know. Was it that Wednesday that I stopped recruiting that would have been the heaviest hitter of all time? And so you got it. So one, not seeking acceptance approval agreement. Two, getting past the haters, the trolls that just don't understand basic economics, basic business. Again, I have a friend of mine. He's got a restaurant. He paid $80,000 for the brick oven. 80 G's. Now, how many pizzas does he have to sell? Because you got to also factor in, profit, right? So pizza probably costs $4 to make. Probably, they sell it for what, 20, 30. Okay. So calculate that in. So let's say they're making, let's say they're just making $20 a pie profit. So that's 5 to get 100. That's what, 50 to get 1,000. That's 100 to get 10,000 times 8. All right, I lost track. But you get my point. You got to sling thousands of pizzas to just make your money back, right? And it's not like you can put that brick oven to work on the weekends and saying, "Hey, go make daddy some side money." So it's just there. It's going to make whatever, right? Or you could always buy a Domino's franchise for $250,000, and they tell you that it's a 10-year return on investment. Now, for those that don't know that term, a return on investment is when you get back the money you put in. So if you go to someone with your network marketing company and you say, "Hey, it's $1,000, but the good news is in 10 years, you should make that back." So that means they put in $1,000, they work for 10 years, and they get that $1,000 back at the end of the 10 years. Now, is that a good deal? You think a lot of people would flock to you to sign up for that? Oh my goodness, only 10 before I make a profit? So before you make $1,001, 10 years. So put 1,000 now. In the year 2031, you'll start making a profit. Bada bing, bada bing. Right? Think people would sign up for that? Well, that's what Domino's tells. Domino's tells them that. Hey, it's $250,000 in 10 years, you'll make a return on your investment. You'll get your original investment back. So year 10 is when you can plan on making a profit over what you invested in. Crazy, right? Nuts. But if you told people it was $1,000 in a 10-year return, your deal would be way better because it's less risk. So You start to recruit because you've gotten past the need for acceptance, approval, and agreement. You've gotten past the trolls that are telling you if you gotta buy something, it's a scam, right? Now, that doesn't mean just willy-nilly buy everything. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that there's not scams out there, right? One doesn't equal the other. It's like I have a Facebook reel that has 1.1 million views. And in it, I said, never finish college. And there's a comment in there of, you bashing college is a horrible thing. You should be ashamed of yourself, right? This whole shame game that the trolls play, because that's where they get their significance. That's where they feel good about themselves. And technically, it's where they try to make people of a similar energy of them. So someone who's in a very negative energy and doesn't think very highly of themselves, they hate it when other people think highly of themselves. They want to bring them down. Let me bring them down to my vibration, right? Let me bring them. I want them to think as bad about themselves as I think about myself, right? I'm not bashing college. I just know why you're doing it, right? If you're doing it because you've been promised you'll make a bunch more money with it, I don't think that's true anymore. Just don't think it's true. Doesn't mean I think all college is horrible or something. Just because I didn't finish it doesn't mean I'm bashing all of it. But that's how people will translate, because they're lazy. They're mentally lazy. And it's easier. It's less brain power and less calories to just judge versus think. Thinking takes energy. It takes calories. Your brain burns 25% of your calories. So thinking, takes time, takes energy, burns calories. It's easier to just not think and think, oh, because they think this thing, then they must think this, and this as well, right? And so it's silly. But anywho, so you made it past the need for acceptance, approval, and agreement. You made it past the trolls that said if you pay for something, it's a scam. And you even make it past management mode, which is impressive. A lot of people don't make it past management mode. I mean, I would say the need for acceptance, approval, and agreement knocks out probably 30%. Probably 30% are just wiped out from that. Then they go into getting hated on, getting rejected, getting trolled on, right? Not where they're seeking acceptance, approval, and agreement, but they're just getting hate and rejection and negativity and advice that's terrible. That probably knocks out another 10%, I would guess. Now you get to the people that get into recruiting, then they get into management mode, and then they say this doesn't work. This doesn't work. Because they went into management mode. You got to stay in that energy of bringing new blood into the organization, of constantly bringing new people in, new customers, new reps. Now, that doesn't mean ignore your existing. Doesn't mean ignore your existing. Be there for them, help them out. But they need to see you recruiting new people. They need to see you bringing in new customers, constantly bring them in. So far, has this been helpful? Let me give away a couple more books. I'm going to give away a couple more copies of Leadership for Network Marketers. Drop me a comment if this has been helpful. Hit that like button. I'm going to give away a couple more copies. Then we'll wrap this up. Okay. All right. So Patricia Sanchez gets a leadership book. Ooh, this is an intense name. I like it. It's very powerful. Melody Mandarino Krill gets a leadership book. Cassandra Maria gets a leadership book. Awesome. All right. So if I said your name, shoot an email to support@higdongroup.com. Support@higdongroup.com. So remember what I started this all off with. What I started this off with is one problem that entrepreneurs have is scale. And you see this all the time on Shark Tank. So someone's been making almond butter cookies and the neighborhood loves it. And they're like, I can only make so many cookies. I can only enlist so many family members. And the machine that I use can only make so much. And so they have a scaling problem. You don't have that in network marketing. And, I remember when I was the number one income earner of a company. I remember one day I logged in and my numbers were, they had jumped, and I'm like, I wonder where this growth came from. And I saw that there were 120 people that had joined in a team in Malaysia. Like, dude come in and all of a sudden, I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I reached out to him like, hey, congrats. Is there anything I can do for you? Well, understand that if you're a budding entrepreneur and you're selling the almond butter cookies, or you're selling, something that you construct, a special zipper, or, some kind of headband, if all of a sudden you get 120 orders in a night, that could knock you out of the game. You could be like, oh my God, I can't get supplies, especially nowadays. Or how do I make this many? These things take me 2 hours at a time. Or you may have an inventory issue. There could be a lot of different things. Or maybe they're in another country, like my example, you have a shipping issue. So one of the amazing things about network marketing is you're walking into a thing that is scalable. And that is a big problem for most entrepreneurs. Just watch Shark Tank. All of them will talk about it. They're trying to work on their supply chain. They're trying to work on their distribution. They're trying to get, bigger accounts. But a lot of it comes down to, we're getting, if it's popular, we're getting a lot of orders and we're trying to make them as quick as we can. And I just can't knit that fast. Is that knitting? Is that quilting? I don't know. Who knows? And so you're walking in, it's already scalable. And so we have something for you. So these are, those are the different dimensions that will knock you out of the game, that will knock your teammates out of the game. And you understanding that will make you a better leader. Now we have a program on special right now, and it's our 100K masterclass. And this is something that when you sign up for it, if you decide to, it actually will deliver to you in 3 sections exactly how to become a 6-figure earner in your network marketing business. It'll tackle the 2 big things that you need: the tactics. What should I be doing each and every day? What kind of scripts? What kind of reach out? What kind of follow up? How should I be leading my team? But also the other side, which is often ignored, but is what will also prevent you from reaching your potential. And that is the emotional side. If you are watching this, I can just say that if you're watching this and you're not consistent, it's not because you're lazy. That's not the reason. The reason is because you've drawn the wrong conclusion to success, and it's an emotional thing. Now, you may, go through a training, get some new tactics, and spice up your game for a week. But after a week or so, it's going to go right back down unless you address this emotional stuff of, maybe your parents were really successful, but they ignored you. Well, that doesn't mean that when you become successful, you have to ignore your kids. Maybe your parents were really successful and then they lost it all. Well, that doesn't mean that when that you should avoid losing it all by not going for it. That it isn't a dictator. Your past is not a dictator of your future. You can choose to make different decisions. You can show up differently. This isn't an automatic kind of thing of, yeah, you're going to lose it all just like your parents, or you're going to ignore your kids, or whatever, fill in the blank. And so this class, and it's available at higdongroup.com/masterclass. It's on a deep special right now. It's delivered to you over 3 days because this is deep content. This is rich content. So it's delivered to you over 3 days, gives you plenty of time to consume it. And that's available at higdongroup.com/masterclass. And so if you've gotten it already and you started going through it, that it's deep stuff. I mean, I'm telling you exactly what to do. higdongroup.com/masterclass. But I hope this was helpful. And I hope that you do jump into the class, because I really do think that we've made it, and this is both my wife and I. So Jess is on there teaching, I'm on there teaching, and I'll type it for you. I know some people have typed it, but I'll take a stab at it too. But it's higdongroup.com/masterclass. If you're serious, right? If you're serious about getting to 6 figures, then I don't think there's anything out there that will help you as much as that right there. Now, to get to 7 figures is a little different. There's a few different leadership kind of things you would need to learn, and that's a little bit different. But check it out, higdongroup.com/masterclass. I got to run. I got a dance class. I got a dance lesson. We are 1 month away from our next dance competition. So I got to get it tight. And I appreciate you so very much. Thanks for tuning in. I hope this was helpful, especially if you're new. There were several things on here that I think are helpful to you. So if you're on here and you have teammates, feel free to share this with them because they need to hear some of the things I talked about: scaling, investment, trolls, acceptance, approval, and agreement. So feel free to share this. I appreciate you so very much. And let's make it a great day because we can. Thank you so much. Happy Monday. Bye.